Hey everyone, welcome back to the Checkered Sky channel, where we dive into true crime stories. Today we're diving into a chilling case that shook a small town in Brazil to its core. This is a story of trust betrayed, a life cut short, and a mystery that unraveled in the most heartbreaking way. It's September 24th, 2019, in Bariri, a quiet town in São Paulo state, Brazil. Mariana Baza, a 19-year-old physiotherapy student, is starting her day like any other. That morning, she heads to her usual spot, a local gym. It's around 8 a.m. and the gym is buzzing with early risers. Mariana finishes her workout, chats with a friend, and steps outside to her black Volkswagen parked on the street. She's got no idea that this ordinary moment is about to spiral into a true crime nightmare. As Mariana approaches her car, she notices something's off. The rear tire is flat, completely deflated. It's the kind of inconvenience that'd annoy anyone, right? She's standing there, probably thinking about calling her dad or a cousin for help. Maybe she's wondering how she's going to get to class on time. But then, out of nowhere, a man approaches her. He's calm, friendly, offering to fix the tire. To Mariana, he seems like a good Samaritan, just a guy willing to help a stranger out. She hesitates. Her friend, who's with her, later says Mariana wasn't sure about it. But the man insists, saying driving on a flat could wreck the wheel. It's a convincing pitch, and Mariana, trusting and pressed for time, agrees. Here's where the story takes a dark turn. Her friend, running late, leaves the scene, unaware that she's just seen Mariana for the last time. Hours pass, and Mariana doesn't show up to class. Her phone goes silent, no texts, no calls, no signal. Her boyfriend, worried, tries reaching her. Nothing. Her family starts to panic and goes to the police. But before we dive deeper into this crime investigation, let's take a moment to honor the person at the heart of this story, Mariana Baza. Who was she? Mariana was 19 years old, a physiotherapy student at a private university in Bauru, a city not far from her hometown of Bariri. Born in 2000, she was the only child of Aírton Bazza and Marlene Baza, a couple deeply devoted to their daughter. Her family described her as a bright, compassionate soul, someone who always had a smile and a kind word. Her passion for physiotherapy was more than a career choice. It was a reflection of her compassionate nature. She wanted to help people heal, to ease their pain, and her parents beamed with pride at her dedication. At university, she was a dedicated student, balancing her studies with an active social life. She was the kind of person who made friends easily, whether it was at school or the gym where she worked out regularly. Now, let's talk about her relationship with Jefferson, her boyfriend of 3 years. Jefferson was 22 years old at the time and serving in the Brazilian Navy in São Paulo. The two had met in their late teens, and their bond was strong, built on mutual respect and shared dreams. They were the kind of couple who sent each other silly texts and shared life's big moments. Jefferson later told police that Mariana was his everything. On the morning of her disappearance, they were texting as usual. Mariana and Jefferson's relationship was steady, but like any young couple, they had their challenges. Being apart due to his Navy duties meant they relied on calls and texts to stay close. Still, there was no sign of trouble between them. They were happy and planning a future together. September 24th, 2019 started like any other Tuesday in Bariri. It's around 7 a.m., and the sun's just creeping over the horizon in Bariri. Mariana Baza is already up and moving. She's at the gym with her friend Heloisa Passarello, getting in an early workout before her day really kicks off. The gym's a familiar spot for her, a place to clear her head, stay fit, maybe chat with friends. By 8 a.m., they're wrapping up. At 8:11 a.m., Mariana steps out of the gym's doors, her friend trailing a few steps behind. The street outside is calm, lined with modest houses and a few parked cars. Mariana's carrying her phone, probably scrolling through notifications or thinking about her day. Classes, assignments, maybe a quick text to Jefferson. She's got a full schedule, and she's not one to dawdle. As she nears her car, the cameras catch her slowing down, her head tilting slightly. Something's wrong. At 8:12 a.m., Mariana stops by the front passenger side door of her Volkswagen. The tire is completely flat, deflated to the point of being undrivable. You can picture her reaction. Maybe a sigh, a quick glance at her watch. A flat tire is a hassle, especially on a day when she's got places to be. Her friend, still near the gym entrance, notices Mariana's pause and later tells investigators that Mariana seemed more annoyed than worried. Cameras capture her pulling out her phone, likely considering who to call: her dad, who's always been her go-to for car troubles, or her cousin, who lives nearby. But she doesn't make the call, at least not yet. The street isn't empty. The footage shows a man walking across the street, moving from the opposite sidewalk toward Mariana's car. He's dressed in everyday clothes, jeans, a plain shirt, blending seamlessly into the town's rhythm. The cameras don't catch his face clearly. The angle is too far, the resolution too grainy. He approaches Mariana directly, his gestures calm but purposeful. He's got a friendly vibe, offers to help with the tire. Mariana's not naive. She hesitates. She's thinking maybe she'll just drive it to her dad's place or call someone she knows. But this guy's persistent. He tells her driving on a flat could mess up the wheel, makes it sound like he's doing her a favor. It's 8:15 a.m. Heloisa's got to get to work, so she hops on her motorcycle and heads out. The exchange continues for a few minutes. She's listening, weighing her options. The CCTV cameras capture him talking to Mariana, his gestures more animated now. By 8:28, something shifts. Cameras outside the gym catch it all. The guy points across the street to a small chakra, a rural property with a house and some land. He's convincing her to follow him there, says he can fix the tire properly. She's still in control, still cautious, but she agrees. At 8:29, she drives her Volkswagen across the street into the chakra's yard. The gate closes behind her, and the car vanishes from the camera's view. That's the last time anyone sees Mariana alive in public. The house's yard, shielded by walls and the closed gate, is a blind spot, out of reach of the gym's cameras and any nearby surveillance. The street returns to its morning routine, oblivious to the danger unfolding just out of sight. But before she disappeared, Mariana took a picture of a guy kneeling by her car. She sent it to her boyfriend Jefferson. The exchange was light, typical of their 3-year relationship. Mariana wasn't scared when she sent the photo. She laughed about the situation, and Jefferson didn't sense any danger. But by noon, when Jefferson tries texting her again, there's no reply. Her phone, usually buzzing with updates, is silent. He calls, but it goes straight to voicemail. The phone didn't have a signal, he later recalled, a detail that gnawed at him. Jefferson's worry deepens as the hours pass. Mariana was supposed to be in Bariri for her physiotherapy classes, a 30-mile drive from Bariri. She never missed a class without telling someone. By 2 p.m., he's calling her friends, asking if anyone's heard from her. No one has. He reaches out to her family, her parents, Aírton and Marlene, and her aunts and cousins, who are tight-knit and always in contact. They're equally alarmed. Mariana didn't answer her phone after that. "We were immediately desperate with worry," one of Mariana's aunts told the press, capturing the family's rising panic. Aírton, Mariana's father, tries calling her repeatedly, but the phone remains off. By 3 p.m., the family knows something's terribly wrong. They contact the Bariri police, reporting Mariana missing and urging them to act fast. The Bariri police springs into action by filing a missing persons case. Their first move is to gather information from Mariana's inner circle. They interview Jefferson, who shares the photo and texts from that morning. The image, time-stamped around 8:30 a.m., shows a man crouched by Mariana's Volkswagen, working on the tire. His face is partially visible, but the angle does not allow for immediate identification. Jefferson tells the police the exchange was casual. Mariana wasn't afraid, and the man seemed like a helpful stranger. She just sent it to tell me what had happened. We laughed at the situation, and I sent her a picture of me in my uniform whites because I knew she liked it. I also told her that I loved her, he said. The police note the photo as a critical lead, but they need more context. They ask Jefferson about Mariana's life. Did she have enemies? Any recent conflicts? He's adamant. She was well liked, had no trouble with anyone, and their relationship was solid. His alibi checks out. He was in São Paulo, hours away, verified by his naval duties. Next, the police turn to Mariana's friend, who was with her at the gym that morning. She confirms the timeline. Mariana finished her workout around 8 a.m. They chatted, and they stepped outside together. She saw Mariana notice the flat tire and watched as a man approached, offering to help. The friend didn't recognize him, but he seemed friendly, not threatening. She recalls Mariana hesitating, but ultimately agreeing to let him fix the tire, especially after he warned that driving on it could ruin the wheel. The friend left shortly after, around 8:15 a.m., assuming Mariana was fine. She's racked with guilt when she speaks to the police, wishing she'd stayed longer. Her description of the man is vague: average height, casual clothes, but it matches the figure in Jefferson's photo. The police press her. Did she see anyone else lingering nearby? Anything suspicious? She mentions a few gym-goers and passers-by, but nothing unusual. The street was busy with morning traffic, making it hard to pinpoint anything out of the ordinary. The police pull the gym's CCTV footage, and there it is: Mariana driving into that chakra at 8:29. They head to the chakra across from the gym. It's owned by a local who'd hired a handyman to paint the place, a guy named Rodrigo Pereira Alves. The owner's there, says Rodrigo was around that morning, but he's gone now. The cops look around. Nothing obvious jumps out. No car, no Mariana, but they're not leaving empty-handed. On another surveillance tape, they saw Mariana's Volkswagen drive off an hour later. They saw the driver get out of the car for a short time, and it was clear from the color of his clothes that the car was not driven by Mariana. The photo Mariana sent Jefferson becomes the linchpin. The police don't name him publicly yet, but they start digging into his background. We are following all leads, especially the individuals seen in the footage, a police spokesperson told local media, keeping details vague to avoid tipping off the suspect. They learn the man has a history, including time served for serious crimes, which raises red flags. Could he have targeted Mariana deliberately? The flat tire's condition, possibly slashed, suggests premeditation, not a random act. The police set up discreet surveillance on the house, hoping to spot the man from the photo. They also track Mariana's phone, which last pinged near the gym before going offline, suggesting it was turned off or destroyed shortly after 8:36 a.m. Police know her Volkswagen has been moved, so they put out an alert to nearby towns, describing the car and the man from the photo, now their prime suspect. The car's headed west toward Itápolis, about 40 miles away. That's when they call in reinforcements, a helicopter, more officers, a full-on search. Words spreading fast. By 5 p.m., Bariri's buzzing. People are talking, texting, piecing it together. They're tracking the car, following leads from that photo. They already had a name: Rodrigo Pereira Alves, a guy with a long criminal history. Rodrigo is a repeat offender who had already served 12 years for robbery, kidnapping, extortion, and attempted robbery, and had been released from prison about 30 days before Mariana's kidnapping. The photo Mariana sent? It's him. The CCTV. Him again. Evening falls. 7 p.m., 8 p.m., and the search is relentless. They've got choppers in the air, patrols on the ground. Around 9 p.m., they find the Volkswagen abandoned in Itápolis, near a sugarcane farm. The car is cordoned off, and forensic teams swarm in. They find the doors unlocked, the keys missing, and the interior in disarray. A search reveals critical evidence. Marks inside the car suggest a struggle, with scratches on the dashboard and a torn seatbelt. They also recovered a knife from under the seat, but this is not thought to have been used in the crime. No blood, but enough to know something went down. After locating the car, police redoubled their efforts to find the suspect. Alves grew up in a troubled home, dropping out of school early and drifting into crime by his teens. Described as a loner, he worked odd jobs, construction, mechanics, but never held steady employment. His recent release from prison made him a ghost in the community. Few knew he was back. Investigators traced the suspect's cell phone and found that he was hiding at his relative's home. Officers swarm the area, and Rodrigo Alves, realizing he's cornered, flees to the roof of a nearby house. He tried to escape, but we had him surrounded, a police officer later said. After a tense standoff, Rodrigo Alves is arrested, his clothes disheveled, his face gaunt. He initially resisted, claiming he was innocent, but the photo, surveillance video, and tire tracks tie him to the crime. After all, he tells where the police can find Mariana. The search for Mariana leads back to the sugarcane plantation where her car was found. Around midday, a grim discovery stops them cold. Mariana's body, hidden among the dense stalks, about a mile from her car. She's gagged, blindfolded, and her hands are bound behind her back. The scene is devastating. The autopsy, conducted in Bariri, reveals the horrific details of Mariana's final moments. The cause of death is strangulation. Mariana's injuries are extensive: bruises on her arms and legs, scratches on her face, and broken fingernails, indicating she fought fiercely against her attacker. The autopsy is also looking into possible sexual assault, but the results are not yet conclusive and require additional tests. No stab wounds or gunshot injuries are found, ruling out the knife from the car. The coroner estimates she died within hours of her disappearance, likely between 8 a.m. and noon on September 24th. The bindings and gags suggest she was restrained before death, pointing to a deliberate, brutal act. Rodrigo Alves was charged with kidnapping, rape, robbery, and murder, and prosecutors built a case on physical evidence and his criminal history. This was a calculated act by a dangerous individual, a prosecutor told local media. The prosecution argues he used the pretense of help to gain Mariana's trust, then overpowered her in the house's yard. The cops see the pattern: impulsive, predatory, no stranger to taking what he wants. But what's he doing in Bariri, painting a chakra? Turns out, he'd landed the gig through a friend, a fresh start, or so he claimed. He admits he lured her to the chakra, says it was a spur-of-the-moment thing. He claims he asked her for a ride after fixing the tire, got her inside the property, then panicked when she tried to leave. It's cold, calculated, and the cops aren't buying the panic excuse. It's early 2021, over a year since Mariana Bazza's murder on September 24, 2019. The trial of Rodrigo Pereira Alves begins in Bariri, the judicial hub near Bariri. The courtroom is packed: family, friends, locals, and media, all eyes on Rodrigo Alves, now 39, sitting stone-faced in the dock. The prosecution, led by seasoned attorneys, is determined to paint Rodrigo as a calculated predator. They present the CCTV footage from the gym. The photo Mariana sent her boyfriend, Jefferson, is displayed on a courtroom screen. The prosecution emphasizes the tire, likely slashed, as proof of premeditation. This was no random act, the lead prosecutor argues. Rodrigo Alves targeted Mariana, manipulated her trust, and executed a plan to abduct and kill her. They highlight his criminal history: 12 years in prison for kidnapping and attempted murder, released just weeks before the crime. The autopsy report seals their case, detailing Mariana's strangulation, bruises, and defensive wounds, painting a picture of a violent struggle. Mariana was strangled, likely with her own shirt, after a fight. The defense, tasked with an uphill battle, counters with a strategy of deflection and minimization. They challenge the forensic findings, noting the absence of blood or DNA conclusively proving rape, and suggest the knife found in the car could belong to anyone. Mariana's family, Aírton, Marlene, and their extended relatives attend every session, their grief palpable. The prosecution calls them as witnesses to humanize Mariana, emphasizing her bright future and the void left by her death. "She was our everything, always smiling, always helping others," said Marlene, Mariana's mother. Jefferson also testifies, recounting their final texts and the photo that haunts him. "I'll never forgive myself for not seeing the danger," he says, tears in his eyes. The prosecution uses his testimony to underscore Alva's deception, how he exploited Mariana's trust, a theme that angers the jury. Prosecutors showed another surveillance tape that showed the defendant leaning against Mariana's car before she even left the gym. He deliberately gave her car a flat tire to lure her into a death trap. Rodrigo's team doesn't deny he was there, too much evidence for that. Instead, they lean on his story. They push his mental state. 12 years in prison left him unstable, impulsive, not a cold-blooded planner. They're not denying the act, just the intent, trying to dodge the femicide label for something less severe, like manslaughter. It's a long shot, but they're fighting to shave years off his sentence. In March 2021, the verdict was announced. He was sentenced to 40 years, 10 months, and 18 days in prison. Don't rush to turn this video off, because there's something else important in this story, something that might surprise you. Mariana's mom died in February 2022 at the age of 51. Marlene had been a fierce advocate for Mariana, keeping her daughter's room untouched and sharing her grief openly. In a 2020 post, she wrote, "A mother's heart will always cry for you, my angel." On September 23, 2024, just one day before the 5th anniversary of Mariana Bazza's murder, Rodrigo Pereira Alves died of illness in the intensive care unit of Botucatu Hospital. He was suffering from a chronic illness, although the exact cause of death was not given by the prison administration or the hospital. That's the end of Mariana's story. Thank you for joining me on this journey through one of Brazil's most heartbreaking cases. Until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and keep seeking the truth under the checkered sky.